Hi, I'm certified life coach Dewan J of the High Vibrations Only platform. What you're about to watch is an open coaching session that was actually filmed on TikTok. I pray that the information in the video that you're about to watch will inform, inspire, and ignite you to become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so that you're abreast of all future content coming from me. I'll see you in there. Let's go. In today's society, a lot of people are stuck. They're stuck in today, thinking about yesterday. About my father, Jen. Those were both actually gospel songs. We're stuck in today because we can't see tomorrow because we're holding on to yesterday. Anytime we do something different, anytime we level up, every time that we begin to add value in a different level, it is important. It is important that we begin to rebrand, repackage ourselves. Let's go. Contributing to the live goal. Empress Empowerment is in the building. I see you, love. Welcome in. Anytime that we change, careers, rebrand. Change clothes, rebrand. Change vehicles. Sometimes it's not always the Chevy or the Toyota. We change brands, and we take the pictures on social media. We post new car, who this. We see the memes. We see the advertisements for self. But what happens when we don't bring that home? What happens when our mentality won't allow us to rebrand? What happens when our heart is still feeling guilty about decisions that we made 10 years ago? What happens when we get into a new relationship, the relationship that we've perhaps been attempting to pray for, fast for, manifest for, right? And we get into this new relationship, and because we're not rebranding, we don't present ourselves as anything new. Every kiss begins with K. What's up? Welcome in. Because we don't rebrand ourselves, because we don't repackage ourselves, then people are still used to the old us. We're stuck in a place where people are still expecting you to pop off. Sky, what's up, love? We're still in a place where people are expecting you to curse people out. We're still in a place where people are expecting you to just roll over and take whatever mental, physical, or emotional abuse that has happened to you. But today, I came to encourage you to change the label. It is time to change the level. It is time to repackage. It is time to rebrand. It is time to represent yourself so that you could properly represent yourself. Put that in a point. Put that in a point. It is time to represent yourself so that you could properly represent yourself. No longer will I be defined by what happened to me when I was 14. No longer will I be defined by the heartbreak of my last relationship. No longer will I be defined by the very thing that is causing me to have anxiety, that is causing me to have trust issues, that is causing me to push everybody away from me that I claim to love. No longer am I going to be defined by mistakes that I've made. No longer will I be defined by things that people have deemed to be toxic. No longer will I be defined. No longer will I continue to not add value to the world, to the community, to the planet as a whole, to those that claim to love me. No longer will I not add value due to bad packaging. I talked about this briefly before, and I told you that the product on the inside speaks to the maker. But the packaging on the outside speaks to the consumer. No matter what field you're in, no matter what your interests are, no matter what your purpose is, if it does not serve other people, it is a wasted fruit. It is a time. It is time that is passing. It is effort that is passing. It is energy that is passing. And we don't get anything from it. So it is time to represent yourself so that you can properly represent yourself. There's a famous toy company that was they grew famous right in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. They began to grow famous, and all of a sudden the popularity declined. All of a sudden people became not interested. All of a sudden people stopped buying into what was happening, and it was facing a financial deficit on the verge of bankruptcy that the CEO of this company decided to make a change. This person first decided that they were going to get active on social media. They decided they were going to create short videos displaying that product. They decided they were going to make movies displaying that product. Liz, what's up? Welcome in. They decided they were going to make movies displaying this product. They decided they were going to reach out and find a different set of resources and different set of partners that could take them to the next level. And today, the Lego company is called the Apple of toys. There's a couple things that they did once they realized that they were facing bankruptcy, once they realized that their brand had gone stagnant, once they realized that they weren't making money the way that they used to, once they realized that the appetite of the people had changed. It's here that I have to park. And I have to say that when the appetite of those around you has changed to something that you don't agree with, something that is not appeasing to your taste buds, when the appetite of people around you have gone to a level that's going to get you to compromise who you are, when the appetite of people around you have caused you to do all of the sacrificing, none of the compromising, you're doing all of the giving, when the appetite of the people around you changed, then it's time to change the people that you're around. Lego, when they first came out, they had this cool little formula. There was the only blocks of its kind that you could stack and build and create whatever it was that you want. And it was at that point that Lego had to preach to itself. With their backs against the wall, financially, Lego had to start to preach to itself and say, hey, you know what? We use these blocks to build. We use these blocks to be a figment of the imagination of children all around the world, of adults all around the world. So why is it that now I'm in a problem I can't rebuild myself? I'd like to submit that the majority of society finds themselves in the same problem. I'd like to submit that the majority of hurt people have not healed because they've lost the ability to create. Some call it critical thinking. Some call it problem solving skills. Some call it inspiration from a divine source, from a higher power, from God. We call it this. But no matter what your source of inspiration is, no matter what your source of motivation is, it is important that we take ourselves to a place where we begin to create again. I talk about on this platform all the time. You hear me say it, and I will continue to say it until I'm blue in the face. Energy, love, and imagination. Eli. Hashtag Eli. Energy, love, and imagination are things that we were born with that are preparing to take us to the next level. But if we fail to create, if we fail to inspire ourselves, if we fail to put on our own cape, if we fail to change the status quo, to get a paradigm shift in our lives, if we fail to do these things, then we'll continue running on the hamster wheel of life. We'll continue the abusive cycle. We'll continue running a rat's race. We'll continue banging our heads against the wall at the dead end job. We'll continue putting up with a toxic husband. We'll continue putting up with a toxic wife. We'll continue spreading our seed where it's not supposed to be spread. We'll continue our subscription on OnlyFans. We'll continue not being able to break the addiction. We'll continue to not stop the wheel from spinning of this vicious cycle that's keeping you from your purpose. There's a couple points that I'd like to pull from the story of Lego. And as we talk about it, right, Lego, they were strapped for cash. They had a big boom. They had a big boom, and the children stopped playing with it. They stopped becoming interesting because now the children The children were looking towards social media and digital media and cartoons. And it's here that we must remember that the old way of doing things, the old way of doing things isn't always what works. I hear you. My grandparents were married for 50 years. But what you didn't see was grandpa going upside grandma's head behind closed doors. My mom was a single mom and she made it work. But you didn't see every time that your mom went out on a date, she came home a little late because she had to make some extra cash, and you'd hate to see that go further. You hear my uncles and my cousins that were older than me, they kept cycling women through their houses, and look, they turned out okay. But what you don't hear is the lonely nights that they spend in their house, wishing that they had somebody and that they haven't given piece of their soul to everybody that they slept with. Girl, my girls at the club every weekend, turned up. But what you fail to acknowledge is the memes and the videos that they post on this very app talking about, I can't find anybody. What you miss is them crying, soaking their pillowcases at night, wishing somebody would just come and hold them. My girl told me that it was okay and I don't need no man, and I'm just gonna forget these dudes and get all of this money. Money doesn't make you happy. Money can't give you a hug. Money can't console you. Money can't inspire you. Money can't encourage you. Money can't give sound advice. Money can't affirm you. It's not meant for people to be alone. Girl, I am the first woman in a male-dominated industry, but at the same time, I'm sick of being objectified. Why does every time I walk into the office, people look good or look forward to smelling my perfume? Why is it that I turn heads every time I walk into the office and I'm thinking that this could be an opportunity to meet somebody, but really they only want to meet in the middle? Part of this comes because we don't have the proper boundaries in place. Part of this comes because at some point somewhere, we've taught ourselves that we're not worth speaking up for, that our code is not worth speaking up for, that we are supposed to roll over and take it because that's just the way that it is. At some point, our voices were canceled. At some point, it starts to feel like God is not listening. At some point, I pray and I wonder if I'm praying in vain because I've talked myself into believing the last version of me. I've talked myself into believing that I'm as worthless as people see when they look at the packaging. I've talked myself into believing that I'm the only person that is going through this because it's only these four walls I see because I'm afraid to go outside. I'm afraid to go outside because the last time I was outside, I was hurt. I'm afraid to open my heart and open my mind because the last time I did that, I was disappointed. I'm afraid to reach for anything because the last time that I did it, the door was closed. It is time to change the packaging. Let me get to this point. Put this in a point. Ominous outlooks are opportunities to rebrand. Ominous outlooks are opportunities to rebrand. Let me be very careful and cautious when I tell you these things. When things look as if they aren't going to work anymore, when we have to re-strategize, when we have to come up with something different, when it's time to re-strategize and represent ourselves to the rest of the world, here is an opportunity to change something. You're no longer known as Dante's wife. Your name is Sheila. You're no longer Keisha's boyfriend or Keisha's dude or Keisha's sneaky link. Your name is Jason. You're no longer the pretty girl that works in cubicle 3. Your name is Sherry. When it comes, it's an opportunity to represent yourself. See, we look at rebranding as a bad thing because we get comfortable. We look at rebranding as something failed. We look at this as rebranding as something that we don't want to do because it's uncomfortable. Part of this is fear, and the other part of this is ego. Part of this is fear, and the other part is ego. The fear comes in when you don't want to be hurt again. You feel as though the next heartbreak you go through, this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. You don't want to question your intuition and your judgment again because your mind can't take another mental disappointment. You don't want to prove that family member right that told you that you weren't worth it. You don't want to prove society right when they told you that you would never amount to anything. You don't want to prove that last company right when they told you not to start the business. You don't want to prove them right, so we operate out of fear, and then we let our ego talk us into what is going on right now is good enough. Allow me, Vanilla, what's up, love? Allow me to submit to you that when things are at their darkest, when it doesn't seem like that there's a way out, when it doesn't seem that the success is going to come your way, when it doesn't seem like you have an opportunity or an avenue to win, now is the time to rebrand. Now is the time for me to dig into myself and realize that I am fearfully and wonderfully created. I am more than a conqueror. Now is the time for me to reach into this gratitude journal and tell myself I have fought and won bigger problems than what's going on in my life. And let me introduce myself to the new you, or let me introduce myself to the new me, and then let me introduce myself to the new me to the public. We have to get to a level in which we're looking at this as an opportunity to rebrand. We have to look at this as an opportunity to set better boundaries. We have to look at an opportunity to look at people and say, watch your mouth when you're talking to me. We have to look at this as an opportunity to tell people I am more than just a piece of meat. Yeah, it looks nice. You wish that you had it. Thank you for the compliment, but I'm moving on. I need somebody that's going to respect me for my ideas, respect me for my values, respect me for my belief. But this all starts with the rebrand. Will, what's happening? This has to start with a rebranding. I might have been known as the 304 of the city beforehand, but that was me yesterday. That's not me today. I might have been known as the F-boy of the city. That was me yesterday, not today. I might have been known as inconsistent or an overthinker or somebody who can't finish, but no more. I may have been looked at as a pushover. I may be looked at as somebody with weak boundaries. I may be looked at somebody who would give the shirt off of my back regardless of the circumstances. But now I'm telling you that I now have a value of myself. I now know who I am. I now know what my boundaries are. I now know your intentions. I see you. And now that I see you, now that I know what your intentions are, now I know what lane to put you in my life. And in this new company, in this new brand, in this new packaging, there is no more room for dead weight. Lego was spending millions of dollars in advertisement that were falling on flat ears. Y'all know what that's like. That's when you walk around asking for permission to do things. That's when you walk around asking for permission to be yourself. This is when you're begging for acceptance. This is when you're desperately searching and digging for external validation. This is when you're begging people to respect your boundaries. This is where you are begging your family to believe in your dream. You are begging for the support of those people that claim to love you in your life. But now that I'm rebranding, I've done what's called a value stream analysis. I've looked at every step of my life. I have taken a deep introspective look at self, and I am now, anything that's dead weight has to go. I don't have room. I must reserve my energy for those that deserve it. I must reserve my time for those that deserve it. I must reserve my tears for those that deserve it. The most valuable commodities that you have in life are time, talent, and treasure. Time, talent, treasure. Time, talent, treasure. Now, once I've decided that I'm no longer spending time worrying about things that I can't control, worried about people who don't worry about me, worried about people who habitually step on my boundaries, worried about those who have turned me into a mental and an emotional doormat or punching bag, worried about those who take advantage of my kindness, worried about those that continue to talk trash about me, forgetting that I was a G at one point in time. Worried about those that continually test and push my limits, not realizing that I'm half holy and half hood and God ain't quite finished baking me yet, right? Instead of worrying about this time, I'm wasting time. So now I'm down to two. Now I'm down to talent and treasure. But because I waste time focused on that, I'm not focused on purpose. Because I'm focused on that, I'm not focused on what my vision is. Because I'm focused on that, I'm not walking in my assignment. Because of that, I am now wasting talent. Here's how the cycle of bad branding comes along. And now my label is a non-finisher. Now my label is weak. Now my label is procrastinator. Now my label is crazy. Now my label is toxic. Now my label is overthinker. Now my label is crier, crybaby. And it gets even deeper than that. It gets even deeper than that. Because some of us have been battling problems that we allowed to become our identity. So now some of us, my label is rape victim. Now my label is suicidal. Now my label is lonely. Now my label is depressed. Now my label is mentally unstable. Now my label is dreamer. Thank you for the eyes. It gets heavy. Now my label is someone who constantly gets cheated on. Now my label is whore. Now my label is a-hole. And it's here that when we have bad branding, that people won't take the time to investigate the product. And when people don't take the time to investigate the product, they only go off of word of mouth. But because they don't understand what it was that you've been through, because they don't understand that I'm a victor and not a victim, because they don't understand what it takes for me to get up out of my bed every day and put on some clothes to look halfway decent. And half the times I don't even have the energy to be a decent human being. People don't stop to look at things with bad labels. And I hear you. That's them. If they don't want to take the time to get to know me, then they're missing out on a magical person. While this may be true, and if we're going to take this approach, then it's important that we put the label up. No nonsense. It's important that we put the label up strong. It's important that we put the label up resilient. It's important that we put the label up conqueror. It's important that we put the label up victor. The truth of the matter is, it does not matter who is actually reading the label. The label is really about the person presenting the product. Oh my God. The person that's presenting the product is who the product is representing. So if you don't want to be labeled as victim and a victor, you have to walk in that. If you don't want to be labeled as somebody that's weak and that you are strong, you have to walk in that. You have to go out here and tell the people that you have overcome some things. And it does not matter how many jabs I get to the back. It does not matter how many sources of rumors I am. It does not matter how much you talk. It does not matter how much gossip. It does not matter how much toxicity you want to bring around me. It does not matter how many times you take advantage of me today. It has to stop. I am changing the label to reflect what's on the inside of me. And now I have to let it shine. I can no longer misrepresent myself for the comfort of other people. I refuse to be silenced for your comfort. I refuse to not say what I believe in for your feelings. I refuse to not tell you how you're feeling out of risk of my I am looking at you straight in the eyes and telling you I want all the smoke. I have to have all of the smoke, because just like I've beaten everything that was sent to destroy me, just like I've beaten depression, just like I've beaten that sexual assault, just like I've beaten and forgiven the people in my family who did not believe in me, I am a conqueror. And it's time that what's on the inside of me be projected to the outside of me. So now I dare you. I dare you. Test me. Test me. It's funny that poisonous substances have that toxic label on there. Hey, not for human consumption. Ladies, it's time to start setting boundaries when it comes to the people that we select to date. Stop falling in love with potential. You need a warning label. Instead of looking for any man to date, y'all need to be checking that fella's mandate. What type of purpose can this person? Oh my God, y'all don't want to talk about that. We're gonna get into it on Saturday. Make sure y'all register for Saturday's conversation. We're gonna be talking about this, right? We have to stop. We have to stop looking for people just to be around. We have to stop looking for people just for the sake of not being alone. It doesn't matter how good that person smells. It doesn't matter how warm of a hug they give. It doesn't matter how nice of a smile these people have. Can you push me to purpose? Can you help propel me to purpose? The problem that we're having is that a lot of people are searching. A lot of people are searching because these people, they're looking for a person, a placeholder to fill the void. They're looking for something, a friend. Isela, what's happening? They're looking for a friend, a group of friends, an activity or a hobby to fill a void. The problem with this is that if you feel that void, it only puts you back even, and it's only a matter of time before you're going to have to fill it again. The problem is, without a lack of standards, you can't lay a proper foundation. And without a proper foundation, you're building a shaky house at best. Without a proper foundation, the support beams can't hold the roof of the house up, and you have no covering. Oh, did you hear? Okay. The second thing I want to pull out of this Lego story, that's nasty. Yeah, register for Saturday's conversation. The second thing I want to pull out of this is, somebody need to hear this. It is time out, and you are worth more. You are worth more than the way that you allow these dudes to talk to you in your DMs. You are worth more than being objectified. Your likes, your attention, your validation, the hearts going up the side of your screen for that dopamine hit are not worth you displaying what's supposed to be held sacred. It is not worth you having to post thirst trap. It is not worth you putting yourself out there, casting a wide net and wondering why all these dudes are the same. Well, I don't go to a Chinese restaurant looking for Mexican food. Perhaps it's time to rebrand. Perhaps it's time to change the label to reflect what's actually on the inside of you. We set the tone with people from the very second that we interact with these people. And if my first encounter, okay, let me move. Yeah. Ooh. Okay, so Lego decided that it had to change itself. Like, I'm trying to get to the rest of these points, y'all. Like, I'm trying to get through, but okay. Put this at a point. Belief in yourself is being what you actually need. Belief in yourself is being what you need. So when that happens, when I start to believe in myself, I'm looking at where I think that I'm falling short. It's where I think that I need something. It's where I think that my life will be better if. My life will be better if I just got to this point, if I just got this certain amount of money, if I just had a man, if I just had a woman, if I could just stop watching, if I could stop Netflix and chilling, if I can just stop answering the phone call at 1:30 a.m., if I could just stop replying to the "what are you doing" text, if I could just not be only a fan of someone, if I could only stop. But the problem is, because we're looking from a place of need, watch this. When we pursue this thing, we pursue it out of desperation. These acts of desperation turn into dumb decisions. And these dumb decisions then dump back on our emotions. When we act out of desperation turns into dumb decisions. Why? It is not because there's an insult to your intelligence, right? And as proof, you kind of preach to yourself. You kind of uplift yourself. You say to yourself, yeah, I'm smarter than that. How did I end up here? Why did I let him play me again? Why did I believe the first red flag? Why did I not listen to my intuition? When we move out of desperation, we make dumb decisions, and those dumb decisions then dump back onto our emotions. It's here that here's where depression lives. Here's where anxiety lives. Here's where fear lives. It's because it's not about the situation. It is not about the situation. The anxiety is not caused by the situation. The anxiety is actually caused because you don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust that you are capable of making the right decision. You don't trust that you did make the right decision. You don't trust that you're good enough. You don't trust that you're qualified enough. You don't trust that you're worthy. You don't trust that you deserve the things that are coming to you in your life. You don't think that you deserve love. You don't think that you are worthy. And I challenge you to, who put this label on you? Was it the manufacturer? They got it wrong. Was it your mom telling you that you'll never be anything better than she was? Was it your deadbeat dad that never showed up to your football games and still trying to offer you life advice? Was it your uncles that you watch womanize the city? Was it that older cousin that you looked up to who would rather get drunk and hide in the study in school, and now you have poor study habits? Who put this label on you? And we accepted it because we didn't want to cause conflict. We accepted it because we've been conditioned to pacify the aggressor in the situation. We accepted it because we didn't want to make any waves inside of the process. We accepted it because we didn't want to have a further negative light on ourselves. We accepted it because nobody taught us how to stand up for ourselves. We accepted it because we somehow lost our voice. We accepted it because this is the way that it's always been. We accepted it because that ain't the way we do things around here. We accepted it because I don't know how many big words, I don't care how many big words you know, you're still just going to be another N word in jail. We accepted it because instead of pouring into us, people constantly took out of us. Growing up, some of us were nothing more than a tax deduction to our parents. Growing up, some of us were nothing more than TV changers and light, like mood light setters for our parents. Some of us that are older were glorified babysitters for our parents. We accepted it. But today I'm asking you, who put that label on you and why are we still wearing it? You have enough life behind you now to prove that you're a conqueror. You have enough life behind you now to prove that you can overcome anything. You have enough life behind you now to look back at your own accomplishments. I don't have to look at Instagram what Michael B. Jordan is doing. I don't have to look at what Beyonce and Jay-Z is doing. I don't have to look at all of the power couples and say hashtag relationship goals. I don't have to look at the fitness influencer and say hashtag body goals. I don't have to look at whatever they're selling. I don't have to look at that anymore, because when I look back at my own life, when I look at how many times I should have been dead, when I look at how many times that I thought about taking my own life, when I looked about how many times I had to prove myself wrong when I disqualified myself, when I looked at how many times I rose above everything that everybody has ever said against me, when I rose above expectations, when I rose above the jail sentences, when I rose above being just a statistic, when I rose above the abortion, when I rose above the pregnancy out of wedlock, when I rose above my parents' disappointment, when I rose above questioning my own intuition, it is time to change the label. Why do I still continue to worry about what people are saying? Why am I still continuing to worry about what people are doing? How many times people are going to come into my life and miss it? Why have I not? Why am I still wearing this label? Who put this label on you? I feel this thing. I'm trying to. That's the beauty of it. Containers don't label themselves. Containers don't label themselves. They're under. The container is under the control of the person who created the product. Oh, my. Okay. TLC is in the building. La Muñeca, I saw you come in. My bad, love. The person who owns the product is in charge of the branding. Don't miss this bar. Don't miss this bar. How is it that when we're in trouble, when we're desperate, when we're sad, when we're depressed, we pray to God? We ignore everything that's going on in the world, and we acknowledge that God is the creator of all things, but you're not wearing the label that was intended for you. Who put this label? Okay. How is it that every time this camera comes on, how is it every time this camera comes on, I set the mood lights in here, I'm on the battle screen, I'm talking trash, I'm in the boxes, and I'm having fun, but every time the lights go off, I turn into a completely different person. I am not wearing the label that was intended for. Okay, all right. Okay, and now Lego is regarded as the Apple of toys. Lego has deals with Harry Potter. Lego has deals with Fortnite. Lego has deals with every other thing that we have contact to. Star Wars, Burger King, McDonald's. They're connected. In other words, When you feel like you're getting ready to go bankrupt mentally and emotionally, when you feel at the bottom, when you feel as though you don't have anything left to give, it is time to find different resources. What this says to you is that the machine that you put in place, the system that you put in place to fill you up is no longer filling you. And now it's time to find different resources. I need to find different revenue streams. I need to find different affirmation streams. I need to find different accountability streams. I need to find different things to do, different people to hang out with, because the system that I'm hanging around now is no longer filling me. And I don't want to run the risk of hanging around a system that's not filling me, wearing the brand from that particular system, and that's no longer the product on the inside. I'm not that person anymore. I know what you expected when you got here, but I'm different now. I know how I was back in high school, but I'm different now. I know how I was a month ago, but I'm different now. This system is no longer sustaining me. And if I'm going to wear the proper banner, if I'm going to wear the proper label, if I'm going to accurately represent what is on the inside of me, either the system has to change or my source of being filled has to change. Because if not, I'm doing myself a disservice. If not, I'm setting myself up to be discarded. All containers with labels, check this out, with nothing on the inside of them are gone. They're either thrown away or sent to recycling. They're either discarded or taken to recycling. Now, if they're discarded, they fall from memory. They fall from care. They fall from a system to support them. They live their life in solitude. They die alone. People might remember them, but nobody misses them. People might remember them, but nobody misses them. And this is what happens when people are discarded. They're discarded because they're not full, which means that they're not serving or they're not walking in their purpose. And if they're sent to recycling, they're just going to have to endure the same process all over again. They're going to have to endure the heartbreak again. They're going to have to endure the backstabbing again. They're going to have to endure the anxiety and the depression and the trust issues again. If I'm sent to recycling, that literally means I'm going to begin the cycle, all because I refuse to change the system to accurately represent what the label says, or I refuse to change the label to accurately represent the product on the inside now. Okay, let me move. I feel this thing. Labels are used. Yellow, what's up, my guy? Bunny Tango, what's happening? Labels are used for different things. Okay, on this, Miss Mims, what's happening? Labels, they have information, identification, warning. Rowdy, I'm off one. My bad, y'all. I just wanted to come on here, speak this real quick. Identification, information, warning, instructions, environmental advice, and advertising. Okay, identification, information, warnings, instructions, environmental advice, and advertising. Let's get into that today. Let's get into that for a little bit. The labels, the first thing, it identifies the product. Who are you? The first thing that I should see when I look at your label is who you are. Now, this is not me attempting to tell anybody how to live. But usually my first encounter of you is going to put some sort of image or some sort of belief in my head. Okay. Now, if it's up to you to represent yourself accurately. Don't. Okay. Don't do it to him. Okay, now I got to do it. Okay, listen, I'm getting ready to throw some shots today. Okay, I don't need to see videos on your Instagram feed of your praise and worship team on Sunday, but just 2 days ago, I was seeing bounce that. I don't, who are you? Do I deal with you as a twerker? Or do I deal with you as the saint? We're going out on a date. You want me to deal with the Sunday version of you. You want me to deal with the version of you that's holier than thou. You want me to deal with the Jesus fish and the bumper sticker on the back of your car, but you don't want me to deal with the, okay. Who are you? Are you accurately representing yourself? You come on this very app, you sit in the boxes and you're quick. You're quick to curse somebody out with the quickness because they're not going to be talking to me like that, Dewan. Okay, I hear you. But why make a spectacle? Why make a spectacle that you don't believe in? Why make a spectacle that's a result of a trauma response? Why make a spectacle that you're tougher than what you actually are? And what's happened is your wound has actually become a weapon. And where I normally would back up your play for setting the boundary, why I normally would back up what it is that you are saying to defend yourself, why I normally would do this, I recognize this as a trauma response. And as a result, your wounds have become weapons. So yeah, you might curse me out. You might get 1,000 people inside of your room. You might get people in there watching from the FYP saying, oh, girl, you should have been there. She cursed him out and all he could do was sit there. You might get all of this, all of the adulation on the inside, but what good is all of that toughness? What good is all of that strength on display? What good is all of that toxicity if at night you're going to cry? If at night you're going to repent? If at night this doesn't line up with who you are wearing the wrong identity. Bougie! La Mera Mera is in the building. What's up, love? Wait, who put the label on you because it's the wrong label? What good is it that I'm on TikTok in the boxes? This is a mental health space. I'm a mental health advocate. Come here, bring your problems. Come here, you can talk to me. But when the person leaves the box, it's nothing but judgment. When the person, once you click the end live button, that person becomes the subject of your little group text. You're wearing the wrong label. And because of that, this is what we hear. We hear, I don't know, the room has slowed down. People aren't coming here vibing like they used to. This is so unfulfilling. I don't understand how it is that you do what you do. It's because you are wearing the wrong label. And as a result of your false advertisement, you attempting to be the safe space, you attempting to be what's popular in today's society, you attempting to do what's in culture is taking a toll on you because this thing has become a chore. Being somebody that you're not is a chore. Okay. You are wearing the wrong label. What good is it? I stand up for women's rights. Oh yeah, I'm talking to someone. I'm about to get canceled right now. What good is it that you stand up for women's rights? You're an advocate. You're an abuse advocate. But you can't get out of an abusive relationship yourself. You return home from helping somebody who went through a domestic abuse situation only to be abused by yourself. And just because you're not being hit doesn't mean that it's not abuse. You being yelled at and refusing to fight back because you don't want conflict, abuse. You not being able to operate in your full purpose is abuse. You being yelled at, cursed at, called everything but a child of God is abuse. Your voice being canceled out in your own household, abuse. So if these things are happening to you and you're sitting in your house feeling as less of a person than you are yourself, don't you dare come in public and represent yourself as any sort of advocate. What it is, you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite because you don't take your own advice. You don't take the advice of the person that you're telling to end their marriage. You don't take the advice of the person who you tell to leave the person that's cheating on them. You don't take the advice of the person that you're telling Hey, leave them. They don't appreciate you. Hey, you need to set better boundaries. Why are you not taking your own advice? The truth of the matter is that you're wearing the wrong label. Some of us just need generic labels. Some of us just need generic labels. Some of us just need labels that say human. Some of us just need labels that say servant of God. Some of us just need labels that say person. Some of us just need labels that say trying. But when we try and put ourselves in these boxes to make ourselves make sense to other people, what you're actually doing is placing yourself inside of a box to make yourself make sense to you. Because truth of the matter is you don't understand why you're still there. You've been friends with this person for 22 years, and for 22 years, they've been stealing from you, getting you in fights, got you locked up once or twice, introduced you to drugs and alcohol, introduced you to the last person that cheated on you, but you're still friends. Truth of the matter is I can't make myself make sense to you because you presented yourself with this label and I presented myself with this label. And at this time, we thought it was going to be a marriage like peanut butter and jelly, but it turned out to be like hot sauce and peanut butter. It turned out to be a sriracha and jelly. Because we were both wearing the wrong label. Because truth of the matter is the majority of people in society today would rather wear the wrong label and be coupled with somebody that cannot push them towards purpose, be coupled with a group that can't push them towards purpose. You want to talk about it? You want to talk about why I'm still friends with these people? Because they boost my ego up and they hype me up to make destructive decisions so that they don't feel alone when making destructive decisions of their own. Stop wearing the wrong label. So the information is on the label. Who are you? The second thing that's on the label is information. Okay. First thing that's on there is identity. The second thing that's on the label is information. Now, this information is going to tell you usually things like ingredients, nutritional facts. For you mentally and emotionally, what the information is your values. Your identity is your beliefs. Your information are your values. Fellas, stop making lists of women that you think that you want, that you're not qualified to handle. Stop wasting women's time. Stop lying to them. You're not an entrepreneur, bro. You have no ambition above pushing carts at Target. Shout to my cart pushers out there, right? But don't lie on your dating profile saying that you're an entrepreneur and you haven't written the grant. You haven't written a business plan. You don't even have a formula for the business. You haven't even singled out a target audience. You don't know what you're going to do. What you're doing is you're an idealist, but until you write the vision and make it plain so that those that are running might see it, until it is plain. How is it you claim to be an entrepreneur? How is it that you claim to be a lover? How is it that you claim to be a deep thinker when you don't display any of these things? Man, coach, man, I hear what you're saying and all, man. I just want to get me a submissive woman. Submit to what? Chaos? Uncertainty? Your insecurities? Your ego? Submit to what? Where is the plan? What level? See, the truth of the matter is that we fellas, we talk about this from a biblical sense, right? When we say that we want like a submissive woman, we talk about this from a biblical sense, but biblically it doesn't mean obey. It means to come under the mission. But if you haven't written anything down, there is no mission. So stop saying that, please. Okay. It's getting tight. It's getting tight. Let me move. The third thing, crazy guy, thank you for stopping through. The third thing that's on the label is warnings. The third thing that's on the label is warnings. What happens if I consume this or if I use this wrong? Rocco, what's up, my guy? What happens if I use this wrong? So for you mentally and emotionally, yeah, exactly, Kirby. You can't submit to something that's not there, right? So the third thing is warnings, okay? And for you mentally and emotionally, these are things that I'm working on. These are things that I'm working on. So when I have the label out there, right? I put the label on the container. That is me. Okay. It's important that I warn people about my potential hazards. When I'm introduced to a new group of friends, when I'm choosing who my next family is, it's important that I warn you about the things that I'm working on, things that would be considered air quotes toxic traits. It's important that I'm humble, open, and transparent because when you're hot, when you are humble, open, and transparent, here's what affords you grace. Here is what affords you empathy. Here is what allows the consumer to decide if they're going to partake from this product or not. You'll never see me buying, I don't know, rat poison and putting it next to candy. I'll never do it because I got a kid here. This is dangerous. You'll never see me just leaving the lawnmower full of gas, running with my kid running around the yard. Right? It's important that I'm humble, open, and transparent about the things that I am working on, what will be considered air quotes, toxic traits, because this allows the consumer an opportunity to not partake from this product. You look at the heartbreak. You look at the disappointment. You look at the frustration. You look at the reason why people are upset, angry, and hurt. You look at why this happens, and usually within the top 3 reasons that they are hurt is wasted time. But how much of that comes back to us? We complain about the representative, but we don't talk about the mask that we wear. Uh-oh. We talk about people being everything that we say, but we give too much information. We give it the exact location and coordinates to our hearts. Ladies, do me a favor. Do me a favor. When men are asking you what type of men you like, please start to speak in generalities. Fellas, I know y'all about to get upset with me. I'm giving away the sauce. I don't care. Right? Start speaking in generalities. What type of man do you like? I like a romantic man. Oh yeah, what kind of stuff do you like? No. You go figure out what romantic looks like to you, and I'll decide if it's acceptable for me or not. It's not self-centered. It's not egotistical. It doesn't make you something that's outside of your name. What type of man do you like? I like a man that makes you laugh. What do you find funny? Well, how about you just be yourself, and I'll decide if your personality is funny or not. And then I can decide if I can work with your sense of humor or not. And that person should be doing the same for you. You wonder how you got used? You gave the exact coordinates to where the treasure is. You gave the combination to the safe where the diamond necklace is at. You gave the key to the gate. You put that person on the guest list to come through your gated community. When I'm being humble, open, and transparent, it's also saying, hey, I got a bit of a temper. I'm working on it. Here it is. This doesn't have to be a serious conversation. It doesn't have to be something that's tense. I don't got to take you out to dinner and say, got a bit of a temper and I tend to get upset. This doesn't have to be that kind of serious conversation. You can laugh about this. You can be like, yo, I got a bad attitude. I'm telling you this right now. Such and such happened and this happened. And I can't believe that I even did that, but I'm working on it. What you're doing is you're providing the information. You're being humble, open, and transparent. You're not making the situation too tense. And you're giving the other person an opportunity, whether or not they're going to select you. You're giving the consumer an opportunity to not consume the product. We're giving too much information, but we're giving too much information in the wrong direction. Because we're wearing the wrong label. Okay. The next thing on there is instructions. Instructions. The next thing on a label are boundaries. Instructions will tell you proper usage of the product that the label is on. Okay. So for you, mentally and emotionally, you're given instructions on the proper handling of yourself. This is huge. This is huge. I hear oftentimes, way too many times, more times than I care to hear, I'm not about to train a brand new person. Why? Why? I hear, I don't have time to teach a grown man. What? Well, if you don't have time to teach someone how to treat you, if you don't have time to train somebody on what your boundaries are, if you don't have time to instruct, then how is this person supposed to speak your love language? How is this person supposed to address you properly when you're upset? How is this person supposed to console you and be there in your time of need when you're too selfish, when you're too hurt to give the instruction on how to actually help you? There's 9 billion people on the planet. But how come you're only an individual when you're upset? Uh-oh. Why is it, don't treat me like nobody else on the planet? Okay, well, cool. If you don't want me to treat you like anyone else on the planet, then you have to tell me how you're different than every other person on the planet. It comes back to effective communication, ensuring that the sender and the receiver of the message is on the same page. Because if they're not, then the message is just as good as not sent. Right. And if the information on the package is wrong, it's mislabeled, then it's just as good as a message not sent. I don't treat spaghetti sauce the same way I treat laundry detergent. And this is the way that some of us live our lives. Some of us have values, beliefs, things that strike us to our core. But because we're wearing the wrong labels, these things aren't displayed. So we're oftentimes mishandled. That's nasty. We're oftentimes mishandled because we are wearing. Okay. The next thing that are on there, environmental advice. In other words, what scenarios do I thrive in? What situations do I function best in? What situations and what scenarios are going to get the best version of me? Because if I'm not a people person, but I'm social, right? Probably taking me to the club is not, I'm not going to have the best time. If I'm going to a party, a house party at such and such place, and there's 150 people in the house, I'm probably not having the best time. Then you probably should introduce me to your family slowly instead of trying to introduce me to everybody all at once at the family reunion, right? If I have domestic abuse in my past, then you're probably going to have to exercise a little more patience with me, because raising your voice could trigger something. And wow, the healing is my responsibility. The grace and the empathy is yours. And this is how things work. Why is it that we're wearing the wrong labels in terms of where we're best suited? Is validation really that important? Is having friends really that important? I'm around a bunch of people and a bunch of people are around me, but I'm not with anybody here. There's a room full of people and I'm all alone because I mislabeled myself into thinking that I belong on the shelf with these people, but on the inside, I'm a completely different product. I'm built different. This is why it's time for me to get out of the group chat on Snap. This is why it's time for me to exit the text thread. This is why it's time for me to get off of the Discord, because our values no longer align. And while I might have had the label that you had on you at one time, I've been upgraded. I'm a different person. I have different content on the inside and I belong on a different shelf. The next thing that's on there is advertising. Your personality. The next thing that's on the label is the advertisement. Right now, some of us aren't people person, or we're not people. Got it. Check. But are you job oriented? Are you career oriented? Are you relationship driven in terms of not romantic, but like just in life? It's about the advertisement. Does it hurt you to smile? Does it hurt you to be nice? Does it hurt you to check the angle of your eyebrows before you walk out your front door? Does it hurt to operate in love? Does it hurt to take a second to calm down so that you don't step out of character? We are wearing the wrong labels, and here's why. Here's why that's important. I'm gonna have to do a part two on this. I can tell this right now. Labels, with all of these things, right? The advertisement, right? I talk about it, an enjoyable disposition, right? You can be the smartest person in the world, but if you're a jerk when you're presenting your information, nobody's going to listen to the information. So what good is the information? You can be the most loving woman in the world. You can be the type of woman that will cook, that'll clean, that'll do that little thing that Selena does with her hips, right? You can be the best red light special going. And if you combine all of these things, nobody will ever know it. You'll never be able to give those gifts to anybody because your disposition is off. Your advertisement is off. And instead, you're stuck with a bunch of no good, deadbeat stalkers that want to spend the block again, but not because they want what's on the inside of you, but because they want the sample that you gave them. They don't care about what's in your mind. They don't care about what's in your heart. They don't care about what your values are. They don't care about your vision. They don't care about your goals. They only care about what's between your legs. But this is what the advertisement said that I was giving. This is what my reputation said that I was giving. This is what I've been dealing with this for so long that I believe that that's the only thing that I'm worth now. I believe that if I don't get that type of attention, then no attention is good for me at all. I believe that nobody's going to come around when I start to open my mouth and close my legs. I believe that my smile. Don't do it, Dewan. Okay, all right, let's move. Listen, y'all need to tap in on Saturday. Okay, we're gonna be talking about relationships, both romantic and platonic. We're gonna be talking about relationships. Tap in on Saturday. What makes a label bad? What? Okay, you're a bad influence over my life. I just want to point that out. What makes a label bad? It's complicated. It's messy, hard to recognize, and it's hard to remember. It's complicated. It's messy, hard to recognize, or hard to remember. Listen, this will preach all by itself. I could have stopped at this section right here. Right? It's complicated. Right? If I can't determine what you are, if what and who you are is not transparent, right? Because you're holding on to secrets, or if what is not transparent because I got trust issues that I'm kind of healed from. I'm like 64.3% healed from, but I'm not completely over. So I can't give you 100% of myself. And as a result, I can't give you a clear picture of who I am. This makes the label bad because it's complicated. Now I got to navigate. Instead of being hot, instead of being humble, open, and transparent, it's complicated. It's not. It's really not. It either is or it isn't. Ladies, if I see somebody else's Facebook status in a relationship with as it's complicated, we're about to have a problem. It's not complicated. Change your label and know your worth. Stop allowing these fear of commitment men to run this game in your head where you refuse to define what a relationship is. Why? Because when you define it, that sets a. Okay. Let me. When you with a properly labeled situation, with a properly labeled relationship, right? That sets an expectation of behavior. This expectation of behavior sets the boundaries that are to be set. These boundaries to be set are to tell us how to respect one another. That respect to one another digs deeper into love. I don't have to worry about you loving me properly if we set an expectation of behavior. What type of nonsense is it's complicated? What are we doing? Imagine going to the grocery store, right? Imagine going to the grocery store and you had your mind fixed. You had your mind fixed on fixing this particular dish, right? And you got all of the ingredients in there. You got the salt, you got the pepper, you've cut you up some cilantro, you got the red, the yellow, and the green pepper. You're cutting it up. These things are in there sauteed, and you pick the package up for the product that's supposed to go in there, and you start to look at the ingredients, right? Because we're healthy and we're going to count our calories. You turn it over and you're looking at the ingredients in this thing and it tells you it's complicated. Are you eating that? Are you trusting that? So if we're doing that for our physical bodies, if we're looking every time we go to Starbucks, oh my God, these strawberry acai refreshers are so toxic for me because they have so many calories. What if you looked at the ingredients of this thing and it told you it's complicated? Stop allowing people to put you in complicated situations. Okay. Saturday, I'm getting into that. The second thing is it's messy. Rowdy, welcome back. It's messy. If it's not appeasing symmetrically, right? This makes a bad label, right? In other words, if it's not balanced. If it's not balanced, if your life is not work and play balanced, if it's not work, play, rest balanced, work, play, prayer balanced, then it's a problem. It's a bad label. There's no balance. It's aesthetically displeasing. You ever look at somebody in the face that you don't know and just like, that person looks mad. I don't want to talk to you. This person looks sad. I'm not talking to you. She fine and all, but I don't like the angle of her eyebrows. Stay away. Shame. It's aesthetically displeasing. So when you're putting the label on yourself, make sure that there's balance there. Make sure that there's some symmetry there. Make sure that there's some well-roundedness there so that every part of you is being fed. Every part of you is being represented by what's on the label. This is how you remain humble, open, and transparent. This is how you remain, especially when nobody can accuse you of playing games, especially you are living in the fullness of self. One of the problems that I have in today's society. Nah, don't do it to one. Don't do it. It's hard to recognize. The next thing on the label is it's hard to recognize. I know what a box of Fruity Pebbles look like. I can see it from across the store. I can see it from across the store. I know what it looks like. I know what these Starbucks cups look like. I collect them, in case y'all didn't know. I collect these. I know what these look like. I can see them in Target, if you're bougie. I can see them. I'm like, oh, that's new. Why? Because the logo is clear. The label is clear. I know what I'm getting. I know exactly where this came from. And because there's some consistency here, when I pick up this cup, I know that I can put the coffee in here. I can put some tea in here. I can put some cold water in here. I can put anything that I want to in here because I know that this cup is going to hold it because it was built from good stock, and this logo tells me that. So your life and the way that you represent yourself is done the same way. It's done the same way. When your label is hard to recognize, and I hear you. Don't put me in no pigeonhole. I can't be put in a box. But I'm talking about the way that you represent yourself. How are you allowing yourself to be represented? Not who you are, but how are you representing yourself? Those that know me know I have friends from all walks of life. I have friends from all walks of life. I have friends that I have friends. I have family from all walks of life. And I love each and every one of them. But one thing that I can say about these people that are in my life that I call friends, the people that are closest to me are people that are authentically themselves, because I can look at them and be like, hey, you know what? That representation fits. You know what? I get that. Okay. Oh, all right. I get that. I get that. And it's not about you telling me all of your business, but it's what you're putting out reflective of what's on the inside. Is loyalty valuable or a value of yours? You know what? This is on display. I get it. Is outside of the box thinking, is this a strong suit of yours? You know what? I get that. I can be having a general conversation. Somebody's like Jesus, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, cool. Let's talk about that then. Right? I get it. And I'm not talking about exposing all of your business. I'm not talking about not being a private person. I'm not talking about not limiting or controlling the access to you. What I'm talking about is what you're putting out, what is in the container, is what you're if you don't come to me preaching loyalty and friendship. Don't come to me preaching love and harmony and good vibrations only when, I saw a video of you slapping somebody in Hardee's yesterday because they didn't give you an extra ketchup packet. What are we doing? The answer is we're wearing the wrong label. Okay. Why change the label? Why change it? Okay. So what happens is big brands change labels to reflect expansion in product or service, to limit negative associations. Oh, I'm talking to somebody about this. The good way to reflect a fundamental change in business, or to introduce a new name or reconnect with a target audience. Okay. These are the four reasons. When we grow and when we elevate, it's responsible. We're responsible to change the label to reflect our growth and our elevation. We're responsible for that. And it's important that we do that, because if we don't, then we might get confused by the outside world. We may get confused by family, and they may think that you're still the old person and treat you like the old person and talk to you like the old person. We have to let's go, Chad, with the roses. We get mistreated. We get mistreated by our group of friends because they're still treating us as if we were the old person, as if our capacity didn't expand, as if our knowledge didn't expand, as if our boundaries didn't expand. And when you start to treat me like the old person, this is going to cause a rift inside of the relationship. So if I'm telling you, hey, I expanded my services. In other words, my territory was enlarged. And as a result of that, the boundaries have changed. I owe that to the people around me because I love them and I want to keep them around. But now I have to say, hey, these were the rules, but I'm over here now. And if these people aren't willing to abide by what the new boundaries are, then stay outside of the fence. If these people aren't willing to accept and support my elevation, it's time to cut the cord. Mickey, what's up, love? If these people aren't willing to help push and hold me accountable for my elevation, then it's time to separate. You have to get out of my car. We're not headed to the same place any longer. We no longer hold the same things valuable. We no longer hold the same things sacred. We no longer share views on pretty much anything, because as I begin to grow this way, if you're staying this way, eventually I'm going to leave you. We're going to miss one another. So as I elevate and change, reason 2, to limit negative association, watch this, with prior logos, or to reflect the merging of companies. To limit association, or to limit negative associations. Ooh, that's heavy. I have to change my brand. I have to change my logo publicly. Because when I was being toxic, it was in public. When I was being rude and mean and nasty, it was in public. When I was cursing people out, it was in public. When I was fighting at the clubs, it was in public. When I was going out every weekend, racking up my body count, it was in public. Okay. Let me move. This is gonna get tight for somebody. Let me just put this finger up right here. And it was in public when I was living an unfulfilling life. It was in public when I was establishing a reputation for fighting. It was in public when I was establishing a reputation for being the person with all the tea. It was in public that I had no regard for anybody else. Okay. It was in public that I claimed that no good dude that I knew that I shouldn't have been with, but I let him knock me up, and then he was a deadbeat, just like I knew he would be. And now I'm characterized as a person that doesn't make fundamental decisions. I'm talking to somebody right now. It was in public that I accepted that person that I knew had anger issues, but I thought that I could change them. And it wasn't until I got smacked in the face the first time, but then it was too late because my heart was involved and I don't have any resources to exit the situation. It was in public. So I have to, now that I'm a survivor, now that I'm a conqueror, now that I've gotten myself to an elevated place, I have to change the brand, because I want to remember for the lesson, but I don't want to be reminded by everybody else around me when they look at me, hey, is that dude still doing smack? Oh, okay. Oh, you had 2 kids. Oh, well, do your kids know their siblings across town? Okay. Yeesh. It was in public that we were doing the negative thing. So it's in public that I have to rebrand myself. It's in public that I have to represent myself so that I can properly represent myself. I'm no longer full of those contents. I no longer have any of this in me. So why am I still wearing the label? Why has your abuse become a badge of honor? Don't do it, Juwan. We don't got time. We got to get out of here. Don't. What? Why has your deception become a badge of honor? Why has your poor decision making become a badge of honor? Why has you... We don't got time. Okay, let me move. Okay. It is a good way to reflect. Why is it that we wear trauma? We hold trauma as a trophy. We hold trauma as a trophy. We, nah, you can't touch my trophy. Because if I can't tell you about how I slept with half the neighborhood to get drugs, then nobody's going to know who I am. No, you can't touch my trophy because if I don't tell you about the wild nights I had to call the police because I was crouched down in my tub fearing for my life. No, you can't have my trophy. Why am I parading pain that I used to experience on a day-to-day basis as a trophy? The trophy comes from the fact that you're a conqueror. The trophy comes from the fact that you actually did survive. We have to change the label to no longer reflecting pain, but now it has to reflect purpose. I have to change the label from a person who was struggling with self-esteem issues to a person that's adding value, but we wear trauma as a trophy. Why is it that this has become a status symbol? It breaks my heart when I'm sitting in a place and people are out traumaing one another. At what point did we turn trauma into triumph, and why are we not celebrating that? At what point were your prayers answered? Christians, let me explain something to y'all right now. Let me explain something to you right now. If you're in a situation and you prayed for deliverance and God actually comes through for you, and Jesus comes through, not if, but when Jesus comes through for you and he delivers you from that situation, but you reflect the trauma more so than you do the